If we're going to be serious about raising up the next generation, then we have to do it from every seat. Here is from those in the nonprofit seat.
What's up, Intern Academy fam, man? So excited to be with you and be with these folks today. We are talking about internships in the nonprofit world, right? So we all love internships, Intern Academy, but in particular, working with them within the nonprofit world. Obviously, a passion of the next gen is to make a difference in the world. They're passionate about the causes that we'll be talking about today, among other things. And so these are some friends of mine, but they're also just some great people who are doing some incredible kingdom work. Also offer internships, and but everybody has a unique story, a unique on ramp to how we got where we're at today. We're at different seasons in the journey, of course, and so we're just gonna have a dialogue. I hope it'll be helpful to you. I know I'm excited about it, just to learn a little bit more about this new world that I'm in, the nonprofit world. Just a couple years in, and running internships out of that. I've had one myself so far, and so I learned a lot the first time and how different it can be. And hopefully this will be helpful to anyone who's running a nonprofit, but also passionate about developing the next gen. So we're going to start with introductions. I'm going to start with my friend Ed to get us going.
Hey, Ed Schunkweiler. I am currently the director of Prayer Plan Missions, which is a ministry in Honduras. We started this about 15 years ago. I started going in 1992, and so I've been doing it for a minute. But anyway, that's what we do. We minister to widows and to the orphans there in the mountains of Honduras. So that's where we are, and that's our nonprofit. That's who we are. Right now, that's what I'm doing. And this season, I was a pastor for about 40 years, and then this past year, got out of that, started this directorship. So,
Yeah, so my name's Emily, and I'm the director at Northmont Fish. It is coming up on my 4th year anniversary there, so still pretty new, but getting my feet grounded. And so we do food and clothing assistance in our community. And so I got started. I was a secretary previous at a high school, loved my job, loved being around teenagers, and the Lord called me out of that, and through a series of events ended up at Fish as a nonprofit leader.
My name's Jacob Klegner. I'm at Camp Sharon out on Lake of the Ozarks here in Missouri. I've been here for 2.5 years and have had 2 interns, and really excited about that, and have really enjoyed having both of the 2 interns that we've had. So we're just looking for the future.
Hey, my name is Brandon Mott, and I am the executive director of Dat House. We are a community building nonprofit on the south side of downtown in Indianapolis. It's actually an organization that I helped to found back in 2010, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's been about 15 years now, and we operate a community center, a coffee shop, a laundromat, a co-working space. And in our community center, we host just a bunch of different programs for our neighborhood. And we are, essentially, we just kind of operate as like a for neighbors, by neighbors community resource. I live in the neighborhood as well, and we do just a ton of stuff with our community. So.
That's awesome, you guys. Thank you for the work that you're doing, the difference that it's making, and your passion to kind of lead there. So let's jump in and talk about interns. All right. So how did you get started with doing interns? Why do you do them in your organization? We'll get into the nuts and bolts of it in just a minute, but just tell us just how you got started and why you do it.
So
I go for it,
Go
Amy.
ahead,
I'm
Ed.
sorry. No, what you're good. Well, anyway, I got started in I did youth ministry for a long time, and so wanted to invest in kids. And then I was a senior pastor for a while. Then I met up with Bob Hawker, and when I was at a church in Ashland, Kentucky, and Bob kept telling me, "You got to have an intern. You got to have an intern." So I said, "Well, let's see what we can do." So I moved from there and went to the church in Georgetown. And while I was there, had 3 interns that we had at that point. And so it was an interesting. The first one was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. I was learning, he was learning, but that's just how we got started of just saying it. And so I've since left there, but those interns stayed on, and so they're still at the church even right now. As a matter of fact, I met with one. I was meeting with one this morning and with one this afternoon. So it's good.
So I got started with Intern Academy because Bob asked me to. Bob's in leadership with Intern Academy and one of our pastors here at Salem. And he asked me if I'd be interested in that. And I jumped at it because I had someone who cared enough about me and the calling on my life and did that for me. And so I knew how important that was and how forming that was for me across a lot of areas of life. And so I was anxious to contribute and give back in the same way.
Yeah, I got started with Intern Academy because Chip is annoying.
That's not
No,
wrong.
just kidding. Just kidding, kind of. No, part of our part of our mission at Dat House is to empower young community leaders, and we had been already doing that through some after school programming and some events with high schoolers, and we hire young leaders to be baristas and other things like that, and I don't think Chip really even knew what we did at the time. He just knew I ran a nonprofit, and so he kept reaching out saying, "Hey, Chip and I had met way back, I don't know, 2007 or something like that, and no, 2011. Gotta have my facts straight." Anyway, and so he'd just been reaching out to me about partnering with Intern Academy, and so finally I came to one of the retreats and learned a little bit more, and I really loved the way the Intern Academy um, could potentially formalize our process of bringing young leaders kind of along into our mission. And so we jumped in, and we've been doing it. I don't know. I guess what, 5 years now, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. But yeah. So for us, it fit with our mission, and it seemed like a really good partnership to make both sides could benefit one another.
So for me, we was it the second summer I was here, I guess. First summer I met Caleb and told him, hey, you can work here next summer if you'd like to. And so traditionally the camp had hired a couple of summer staff people, and for our main weeks of camp we would hire multiple staff members. And so I had mentioned to him, I could use him all summer, and he's going to school at the College of the Ozarks, and called and he said, hey, I'm in for working, and but I'd like it to be an internship where I can get college credit, and that didn't freak me out at all. So we talked through that a little bit, and I was just trying to find the week that I could sit down and try to put something together. And both his dad and our state pastor Howard McGill are on or a part of Intern Academy, and I had heard about Intern Academy through both of them, and I think Caleb said to me, why don't we just use Intern Academy? And I said, that sounds like a great idea. And so we did that our first year, and then it has stuck. It's a wonderful program to use, and just makes the process so much easier. You don't have to reinvent the wheel when something's already in existence to kind of lead that charge for us.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And if Brandon Mott's mic goes mute over the next session, listeners, it's not your fault. It just happens. We probably should have thought again about maybe we should not give Brandon a mic. But we're gonna have some fun on this podcast, as you can tell already. Actually, I'm gonna let Brandon go first here. Just talk a little bit about you. You've been doing it the longest. You run a great ministry there in Indy. The Dat House, and just the journey it's been on. And interns has been a journey too. What's been the biggest benefit to your ministry and to you as a leader of having interns?
Yeah, I think there's two things that come to mind when I process that. I think the community of Intern Academy is huge, and that's been probably, I would say, the biggest benefit to our ministry is just because we're a community organization, but we are hyper local. Like, we work in a neighborhood. Now, our neighborhood is one of the most densely populated in a pretty big city. You know, there's over 5,000 people that live within half a square mile of our community center. So, you know, there's a lot of us here, but being connected to Intern Academy has really connected me to, you know, a more diverse group of ministries and a really great set of leaders that can help just not only be a resource for us, but also an encouragement to us across the board. And so that's been a huge benefit for our ministry. Is we've got to draw on that resource for interns, but also kind of push some resources back into Intern Academy. And then I would say for myself personally, the other aspect of that is that I am first and foremost a doer. And so everything that Dat House is because I'm just too stubborn to not let it happen. And so it just like, oh, we're gonna open a coffee shop. How do you do that? Don't know, don't care. We're gonna do it. You know, how do you, whatever. So oftentimes I get really caught in just doing, um, that I don't do as good of a job of like raising up the next generation or bringing on someone to do it with me or to also get hands-on experience. And so the help from Intern Academy to have coaching manuals and to have intern manuals and to just that community that brings those resources to help not only do the work but bring those behind us to continue doing the work, for me personally, has been fantastic.
Well, I think I got two things. One, going off what Brandon said, I think one of the things that's been really neat for me to watch as having an intern and a benefit from that is the whole networking that takes place. It's not just networking between coaches and all, it's the networking that's going on between all of the interns. I had an intern and that intern a couple of years ago, and that intern was, he was great. But what I really saw was when we went to when we had the intern retreat, when we had the retreat there, and he met all these other interns. Well, after we left the retreat, we had IYC. Now it's a whole nother thing because now they're all going to IYC and all the interns are hanging out and going. It was just a really cool thing to watch them invest in one another from the networking that they had established in that time at the retreat, which I think is just amazing. Now, that for me has been a big benefit, a big benefit for the intern. The second thing is that it's caused me to want to be a better leader and learn how, because I really feel at where I am in life, it's my call. It's what God's telling me at this point. I'm to give the keys away, learning how to give the keys away, teaching them how to drive the truck, and eventually saying, "Here's the keys. It's your truck. Let's go. Let's see what you got." And so it's helped me to have an intern to try to stay relevant with them, connected to them. So I'm hoping the things I'm learning and I'm investing in them is helping them as well. So that's been two benefits: the networking and then the challenge to grow my leadership as well.
I'll kind of echo what Ed and Brandon have said. The team around Intern Academy, like just the networking, has been an absolute gift, and having the resources there to coach someone well. It's not like you're just stabbing in the dark, like how much do I show them or what do I show them or whatever. It's just been a great footprint, and it's challenged me because in those things, like we've been established in our community for a little while now, but having explicit practices on things is a newer component. So challenging us in like um, how well are these things and practices developed in the first place, and so getting to like bring someone in on that and like hear their perspective as a younger person too, and like what they see in the world and that kind of stuff. So having a footprint and then challenging what's already established but allowing somebody who sees the world a little differently to have some voice in that has been a really cool evolution of things, and they see things different and a little more organized, less organized, depending on the person. Like they're like, well, why did it have to be that way? And so getting to have on purpose conversations about what they see too is really cool within that framework.
And I think here at Camp Sharon, it's been extremely beneficial in two regards, and they kind of go hand in hand. One is accountability for me. We'd run a different schedule than a church would, and things like that. There's really not any downtime, and so this holds me accountable to making certain that I don't just hire somebody to come work, but that I try to invest in them and try to build them up and give them opportunity to expand their repertoire, their wings, and really um, challenge them, not just to get the stuff done, but to grow as a person. And so that holds me accountable because again, it would be much easier to just say, "Here's the work, go do the work." But I think that's a benefit. I think it's a benefit on the other side as well, that whenever people see the intern being utilized in more than just working, and it being a more intentional position, that there's more interest in others wanting to participate in that leadership side of what we're doing. And so it's built up a network of people who really want to join what we're doing, young people who want to join what we're doing, and be a part of the ministry aspect, and not just, like I say, not just being a fun summer staff position, but actually intentional in their growth and development as people.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, Jacob. Thank you all so much for sharing. It's interesting. I think about the intern that I had. I've had one with a nonprofit, and it was unique. It challenged me to think outside the box. I was thankful when I look back on it that it's just not the same rhythm. It's not the same strategy. So we explored for a long time trying to find an intern and couldn't find the right fit. And then we decided to move it towards an online because our greatest need was more of the administrative help. And we ran into a young lady, or got connected through the Intern Academy to a lady who was going to school up in New York, and she was exploring pastoral ministry and nonprofit ministry, and graduated and wasn't sure which one she wanted to do. And so we brought her on, and at first I was like, "How's this going to work? I've never really had online. That's kind of weird." It was awesome, and I learned so much about myself that I can adapt and flex and change and adjust to a different strategy. And she was terrific, and so I'm really thankful for that. Thankful for the opportunity that gave her. Thankful for how it challenged me to really think outside the box to what maybe would be other church-based ministries, which kind of leads into the challenges. And I'm curious what some of the challenges you face. I know for me, some of the challenges were just matching up the skills that we needed and the fit. And so though a lot of the generation's passionate about, social justice, they like the idea of making a difference. The work that actually has to happen to make that difference is sometimes not what they see, and so it's all the behind the scenes things. So finding that right fit, I think for us, we had to, because of it, had to pick someone who was older. Didn't feel like it would fit for the fresh out of high school 18, 19-year-old student. And maybe that's part of my need expanding the box a little bit, but I know for us, our first one needed to be a home run. And so we had to find somebody who had the right skills, and somebody who also, was a little more mature, almost ready to go. They'd done internship before, and so they knew about what an internship meant and why you got to represent the ministry and work hard and all the things. Being online, she had to be self-driven, because I couldn't monitor everything. That was unique. And then it had to flex. I think in nonprofits, at least my experience has been that an intern has to flex, and I have to flex constantly because there's not the weekly rhythm that comes with other things that really we kind of live in sometimes it's a day-to-day rhythm, and sometimes it's like a month-to-month. If we have a big event coming up, then it's a different rhythm than it would be 2 months after that event. So those are some of the challenges that I faced. What are some of the challenges that you guys went through?
Yeah, Chip, your point about matching the project and the task to the student and stuff, that was definitely a learning curve the first time out of the gate, because like you said, there's flex in that depending on the season and whatever. And so we're accustomed to just jump and run, and you do the thing as the opportunity presents, but you have someone shadowing you and watching you and trying to keep up and figure it out too. And they're going, well, wait a minute, why, this was the plan, what do you mean we're deviating, or different things like that. And so learning and coaching in it's okay to be flexible, but like, ooh, maybe this part of the task isn't the best fit for this kiddo in this round kind of thing, or this student in this round. Um, and so learning how to match that, as well as like naming the good in that, because sometimes they watch us do certain things and they're like, well, why didn't you give that to me to do? Or why, they want to know why they weren't included in that part. And it's like, you're not there yet. And that's okay. Like, so just learning how to have thought through that part of the conversation, as well as matching them to the things that they can excel at, but coaching differently as that unfolds too.
Yeah, I'm basically going to dovetail right into that. For us, we are so diverse and we do so many different things. And when we bring on an intern, we expect them to do all the things. And our interns come and they say, "Hey, I love community work. I want to do the community work." Well, some community work's really fun, and some community work's not. And sometimes it depends on who you are, which thing you think is fun you know like for example, I had one intern. So we run a coffee shop, like I said, and we also run kids programming, and then we operate a community center. So like as the executive director, I'm also the chief maintenance man, and so there's just so many like things break in the community center a lot, and so we have to, I don't have a repair guy, I've got to fix those or whatever. And so I would have some interns that, and they don't know this ahead of time, but man, just absolutely love being a barista. Because and being a barista is fun, but some people are terrible at it. I've had an intern that was awful at being a barista. I did not want him to serve in that capacity because he could not make drinks, and that's no fault of his own. But that same barista was incredible in our kids programming, just unbelievable, and so focused more of his time there. And for me, the difficult thing is, but also I think the exciting thing is kind of finding those things, because oftentimes I feel like the interns themselves aren't even 100% sure which thing is their thing. And so it's almost like archaeology in a way. We're kind of picking away, trying to find at the root what is the passion within the passion of community work that they love. Is it with kids? Is it chatting it up with people, making delicious drinks? I had one intern who was great at doing little repairs around the community center. I mean, I'd send him off with a drill and some screws, and like he'd be done. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not. I'd come around expecting him to be waiting on me, and the job's already done. So I think the difficulty, but also in a way the joy for me, is just figuring out what it is, like that the thing within the thing, and emphasizing that and encouraging that in our interns as well. But definitely a challenge when you're like us and you do so many different things. So
I think for me, one of the things was personality. Just trying to find their personality and who they are, um, and not assuming that they know things like that. That's one of those things, a challenge, because I assume like, okay, we have staff meeting at 9 o'clock. Well, you'll be there 10 till at least, not 10 after or 20 after, or, oh, I forgot. Like, and I'm pretty laid back, but there are things that I'm just like, gosh. So trying to find those personalities out, and trying to mesh with that and mesh yours. Also, I really believe like a lot in like a DNA of trying to have the same kind of DNA, that we're going the same way, and trying to figure that out from them if that's the way they want to go. Because I think some of the interns are like, oh yeah, I love youth ministry, I want to do it, I'm going to, or I want to be on the mission field, until you start going, yeah, but this also is this is part of it too. You have to be. There are things, I think, Brandon, to your point, I think there are things that they think, oh, somebody, I don't have to do that. But I'm like, don't ever think that. You have to go, I'm not going to ask anybody to do something I'm not willing to do. So you have to be prepared, because you don't know what that's going to be like. And I have one intern specifically that I didn't know what struggle with ADD and all of that. I didn't know that. And almost till the end, because I couldn't understand why are we having this conversation like 6 times? And then we had a real conversation, and he got real with me. Everything changed. So I think it's trying to find them and help them, as you said, Brent, find themselves. What really am I good at? And is this where I'm supposed to be? It's not just something fun to do. So that's been a challenge, but it's also been something that has helped me, and I hope help them find out who they are and how to deal with it.
Yeah, I want to echo something you said at the beginning, Ed, and it's not, and this is probably not unique for nonprofits, I'm sure, but man, not assuming things that these interns know to do things, because man, that really, Chip, you can speak to this whether or not this is common for all interns. It probably is, but man, that has bit me more times than I can even count. Like, just kind of like assuming you know how to use a calendar, or you know that like showing up late is not okay. Like, we're knowing that, like, I mean, just some basic things that I would just expect. I don't know, like having a polite conversation with somebody that maybe you don't want to talk to, or that you're not vibing with, but like that doesn't matter. Like, they're a community member. You need to be. I don't know, but yeah, that was huge for me. That was a learning curve for my first couple. Is, man, just not assuming some of the very very basic things that you need to go over, especially with these younger interns. That's critical.
Yeah, one of our biggest challenges, at least for me, has been maybe what you call the onboarding process. Because like I say, they're showing up when their school ends. I'm already busy. We don't have people necessarily here to work with, but there's so much to get ready for what we're doing, and and so when they show up, we're already full steam ahead on those types of things, setting up and repairs and different things, and so I know last year our intern, she arrived her first day, and we worked, put in a full day, did a lot of things, and to me, we were taking a break for dinner. To her, dinner was the end of the day. And so she told the story at the end of the season. She said at the end of the first day, after you came back out after dinner and said, "Hey, we're gonna go work on this. If you want to join us," she was like, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this." And being able to be more upfront, obviously, is one of the things, but just also to put forward some of the expectations, some of the opportunities, some of what's going to be happening. I'm excited about Coaches Summit next week, just to have some conversations with people of, what kind of work do you do in advance of your interns arriving with the interns? Because, for me, I'm like, well, I'm not paying them till they get here. I don't want to bother them. But the reality is, I think there's a lot of things that we probably need to be doing. My situation anyway, before their arrival, so that we're all kind of on the same page, and maybe there's less on the job training for them. They kind of show up and get thrown into the fire, and are kind of just running around, not sure what's going on. So I think that's been one of the biggest challenges for me that we're going to work towards addressing a little bit this year. One of the things I know we're going to do to try to help with that is I'm including my wife now this year as a co-coach, and so she's going to be able to really work, a little bit more hands-on even than I can with the interns, and so that's an exciting change that we're going to try anyway, and so that's been my biggest challenge is they kind of show up. Both have had great initiative, great personalities. They've been able to handle sarcasm well, which is important with me and my family. If you're going to be around us, you got to handle sarcasm, and so so it's been a great learning opportunity for all of them, I think, and for us as well. And so, but I'd like to be a little more prepared for them, and them be a little more prepared, before they show up.
Yeah, that's so excellent, Jacob, and I really echo just all what you said, all of you, about just the needing to prepare them up front, get them on board, understand what the expectations are. Unlike in church-based ministry, I think you can create some slower onboards. I think in nonprofit world, they're going to hit the ground running. First day, we're going fast because we got kids coming to camp, or people visiting the coffee shop, or intern event that's planned, or we're going to Honduras on a flight tomorrow. Whatever the things are, we got stuff happening, and so that onboarding piece is really important. And it's true, they are capable of more than they think. and they just are used to maybe thinking through a certain lens. I found that to be true for me too, that we're capable of more than we think. We didn't talk a lot about in our challenges, but the resource piece, the financial, how do I find the money to pay for an intern? When you run a nonprofit, you don't got money. And we dealt with that even in Intern Academy. Here we are, this organization that's developing interns, and we're just trying to make budget. And we had to be creative. And I think it was a good reminder to me that I'm capable of more than I think, and that we have to go figure out how to make sure that this is a priority to develop the next gen. Obviously, we believe it, and all of you on here believe it. But it's just like in church world. It's easy when times get tough and when funds get short, that would be something that gets cut. So we've kind of processed a lot of reasons that are hard, a lot of things that are challenges that are tough. And to be honest, those are the reasons people in our positions, executive directors of nonprofits, don't do internships, right? All those things. And so you've all chosen still to do them. And so I'm just wondering, okay, so what maybe final thoughts do you have? What would you say, if anything, to someone, or maybe something that hasn't been shared, or something you want to bring up that hasn't been shared? And as you think about someone who's listening to this, who's a executive director of their own nonprofit, what advice would you have for them kind of considering starting an intern program? And I think for me, obviously, I believe in interns. Somebody did it for me, just like Emily, she shared, and so I want to do that for somebody else. I think that you don't always realize the impact that an intern can have, not only in your organization, but in your own life. That you're not just giving to them, even though it feels like that mostly, and sometimes it's inconvenient, and sometimes it's an extra burden. You wonder why you signed up for it, but then when you look back, you realize, oh man, not only did this help the kingdom advance in whatever they're going to go on to do, but now I'm a better leader. And so the next round of interns are getting a better version of Chip because I keep growing. And whether it's exploring online or trying to find the right fit, or being flexible, or whatever those things are that the Lord's trying to mold me in to be a better leader, internships are really a great way, I have found, for me to become and be molded into more of a Christ-like character. And so I would just say, take the leap, lean in with people like this, have friends that you're kind of walking it out with. Don't try to reinvent the wheel where you don't need to. But don't be surprised if it's not just something that you're doing for somebody else, but if you actually in your ministry reap a benefit that will be unexpected, that sometimes you don't even see until it's over. So that's my thoughts on just something that I would share with someone who's thinking and considering doing this. How about the rest of you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to say a couple of maybe, I don't know, silly, contradictory things. I don't know, but echo everything you say, Chip, about it really benefiting yourself as well. But also, the old adage, it's easier to hire than fire. And so the one of the things that I think is beneficial about interns is in nonprofits, I'm always trying to look for the next staff that could help, help better our organization. I'm trying to get good staff in place, and truthfully, in a way, interns are kind of low risk, high reward. They have a finite time that they're there. If they're great, you could say, hey, let's make this more if it works out. And if they're not, you can say, hey man, great internship, wish you all the best. I mean, there's that. And so I feel like in a way there is like it's as an executive director, finding staff for a small nonprofit is difficult because, like you said, Chip, we don't have a ton of funds. We're not paying the most, but we're on mission and we're trying to do good work in the community. And so as the leader of a smaller nonprofit, I would say, hey, this is like an opportunity to try on someone, see how it fits, try to find a good fit for your organization, so that there can be a benefit there. But then also on the flip side of that, well, I guess it's connected, but a little bit different, is as an executive director, your organization is bigger than you, and hopefully your organization is going to outlast you. And there's an old saying, this is kind of silly, but something that's stuck with me for years, and it's not spiritual at all. But there's if anyone remembers The Dark Knight, the Batman movie, at the end where he says, "You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain." I think that sentiment is pretty true a lot across a lot of organizations. Like there is a chance that you're going to stay too long, and you're going to be holding on to something that really needed to be moved on from, and empowering young community leaders is like that is the answer. And so handing it off, I think maybe Ed made a comment about handing it over, or planning your exit. I don't remember how you said that, Ed, but I think that's super important. It's something that not enough leaders think enough about, whether it be ego or just busyness in the day-to-day operations. But those are a couple of really important aspects that I think any nonprofit should consider interns.
Yeah, and kind of with that too, I feel like the Lord prompts us in different ways. So if there's been any kind of stirring on your heart that maybe this is worth exploring, it might be worth exploring. And it may be for the kid that you bring on, or it might be for you, or both, who knows. And so I think if the seed is there, pursue it and just see. But to Brandon's point too, also about like staffing and stuff for our nonprofit, I'm the only person paid staff. Everything we do happens volunteer power. So finding people who are capable and calling them into more, that is like the most amazing privilege ever. Getting to call somebody into more than they knew that they were capable of. And so matching them with that and getting to see like the fruit of the work for them is just a really sweet fast season when they're doing an internship. But also because you are financially tied to certain confines, maybe this is somebody who comes behind you or joins you or whatever. We have little kid opportunities to come serve in our spaces. And we had fourth graders in a couple months ago, and they're like, "Can we come back?" I said, "Yes, come back, come back, come back, come back, come back often, because I don't want to still be doing this when I'm 90. So if you're loving this, let's even at fourth grade talk about how you can be a community leader now, and like just championing them and their attitudes and that kind of thing." So the root of all that to say, if you have even a inkling of this might be the next step for your nonprofit, pursue it and just see. And like, I think we've all taken a stab at saying too, the first one, you're going to learn a lot, and then you're going to do the second internship differently, and the third different, and the fourth different. It'll evolve.
So it's really interesting to me because now I'm at a different spot. So I did the youth ministry, I did senior pastor, had interns, but now for the first time, it is this nonprofit trying to find the right fit for that. Everybody wants to go on a mission trip, but not everybody's meant for missions in that way. And so trying to find that. So one of the things I've tried to do, because I think the internship has potential, as you've said, for me, hopefully for me to find somebody who has the same DNA that I give it away. And that who knows, they may be the next director of prayer plan mission. But what I've done is try to come up with on our website, just if you're interested in an internship, because Chip and I have talked about this even internationally, so we're trying to work at some of that kind of stuff. If you're interested in that, here's what that would look like. I don't want you to come into it just going, "Oh, well, I'll just go there and see what I can learn." No, there's a 3 month track, there's a 6 month track, there's a year track. Just trying to do that because as someone who's looking for an intern, but also someone who is a self-starter in some way, because I want them to have input. I want them to feel like, hey, this is my ministry as well. And so having an intern to me is the greatest thing that I think I could give to the organization that I am directing right now, to give somebody who wants to continue it on. I just finished a book that I would give to anybody who's thinking of this about, okay, I'm not going to be here forever, like the way you said it. It's called Finishing Empty by this guy by the name of Josh Medcalf. And the whole book, it's just a little story, but it's saying, looking at leadership from a deathbed perspective. Like, hey, I'm not going to be here forever. So who am I going to invest in? And I think interns are some of the best people because they're eager. And I'm with Emily. If you're thinking about it, Don't think about it. Just do it. Call Chip, call Bob, call whoever, get the process going, because it will be well worth it to you.
Yeah, there's not much I can add there. The rewards are enormous. Getting to have somebody show up that maybe you this year I didn't know her at all. She came the first summer I was here for a few days to do some work projects with a group, but I wasn't meeting people then. I was just working, and so to have somebody show up and kind of meeting them and really getting to know them for the first time, and as summer ends, and then Chip, you guys were at MacU a couple of times, and both times to see the two girls that spent a lot of time here this summer in those pictures was it was exciting. I was just like, they look like they're doing good, and to know that maybe we have a small piece, but that small piece uh, hopefully impacts them for the rest of their life, and that's important, but it's also kind of rewarding. And I don't know you guys' experience. Camp ministry, we don't get a lot of reward from ministry, the work that we do necessarily, because people come for a week and they go home, and we never know what happens. And so for me, having those interns here gives me, we went to Branson as a family a couple weeks ago, and that's down where Caleb is, and so we connected with him and got to spend some time with him, and so there was just the blessing of being able to see fruit, and so for me especially in my setting, I love the opportunity to be able to follow that fruit down the line, and just to see even at the end of the summer, because I don't think I do a good job, but to see at the end of the summer, both of them be like, man, this was incredible, and this is the area that I grew in, this is what I learned, and those kinds of things. It for me, it kind of spurs me on, to the next thing, because like I say, seeing fruit in my ministry is pretty rare. The only fruit I see is when I fix something and it still works next year. But that's great. But I really want to see the lives that are impacted, and so a lot of times you don't hear those stories for years to come for people who just attend here, and so it's nice to have that continuing conversation and influence and impact and encouragement from my side from having had these interns. And so that's kind of I would say that's my favorite part of it, honestly, is following their life after they've left.
Yeah, that is so much fun. You can see that fruit grow on someone else's tree, but to know that you know how to hand in it, but you're always connected to them, right? And to do this together like this is just so much fun. And it's biblical, right? Moses, I think about that story of Moses and Joshua. They're going in the tent, and Joshua's always with them. But then, when Joshua left, he forgot to keep doing it, and he got focused on all the battles and didn't have that person he kept pouring into. And they ran into a lot of challenges. We got to keep reproducing. One of the things that I would want to make sure, especially for nonprofit executive directors, is you have to be on the lookout for your intern all the time. 365, 24/7, because you don't have that natural pipeline to find them. People come in, kind of come out. So you're always looking, hey, who are those people? You got to know what your non-negotiables are, what you have to have. And then what are some things that maybe if they don't have it, you could develop them. So there's been so much gold in this conversation. Thank all of you for not only what you're doing, but also for your contributions. I know for sure that all of you are available. If anybody who's listening to this would say, hey, I want to ask some questions. I want to learn more about the organization you guys are running. It's just incredible organization. So if you're listening to this, be a resource, or reach out. These people are a resource to you, and they'd love to be able to kind of walk you through, and hopefully you'll kind of jump in. So to my friends, thanks for not only being on this, but thanks for walking this road with me. It's really fun to do together. God bless you.